Morning. I call the July 14th, 2015 Saline County Commission Public Forum and Meeting to order. Will everyone please rise and join me in a moment of silence in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Shadwick.
Here.
Commissioner Guile.
Here.
Commissioner Price.
Here.
Commissioner Larson.
Here.
And Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
Move on to the public forum where it's a citizens may speak on any issue not on the current agenda today. It's normally limited to 3 minutes. Would anybody like to come forward at this time?
Judy Larson, 715 North 9th. I am significantly and overwhelmingly frustrated, disappointed, and annoyed that John Price can make comments detrimental and negative about Saline personnel without any kind of reprimand or comment from the other commissioners. He demonstrated a total lack of professionalism, a total lack of tact, and he was totally absent from any kind of commission decorum. And you guys didn't say squat. So that kind of support is what keeps John Price as the negative image and the negative commissioner that he's always been. And it stinks for all of you.
Thank you, Judy. But, you know, I've had a lot of people call me and commented that they're glad I say what I say and I don't just keep my mouth shut. And it's a shame the Journal doesn't print the whole article and why I said what I said, but if anybody'd like to know that, I'm willing to tell them. So I don't feel the same way you do, Judy. Of course, you're a little bit on your own too.
Excuse me, but I was at the meeting and I know exactly why you said what you said, and you were wrong, and you were distasteful, and you were insulting, and I just can't believe that your presence is allowed to continue. Thank you.
Right, and I was not there last week, so I did not see what went on, so I don't
And
feel
Lucy
like,
wasn't there either, so.
was not there to be able to comment, so. But thank you for the update, Judy. Anybody else would like to come forward at this time?
Ray Ruska, 235 North Santa Fe. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm going to continue on this subject about John Price, because I was at this same meeting that Judy was talking about. It says, yesterday at the City Commission meeting under Other Agenda, out of the clear blue, the mayor made a comment about censoring John Price for comments he made in a county commission study session last Tuesday. Where was the outrage from Blanchard acting as vice chairman when Householder was mayor and Householder went off on a citizen like a maniac? Did the city commission censure Householder? No. Did another part about Blanchard and his snafu is when he went off on Guile and Duncan publicly in 2013, and I think Mr. Guile probably remembers that. And I was there, and I heard the behavior he had, and he's calling. I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm not going to. The city should just butt out of county business and pay attention to their own business. Thank you very much.
Tom Rickstew, 4500 West Schilling. Got a couple of things going along with Mr. Price's thing. I was also there. And one thing that John is straightforward. He doesn't pull any punches. He lets them know. They aired out the subject, and I thought everything was pretty good. The people keep stirring it up weren't there. They didn't know how it went down. They didn't know anything about it, and that's generally been the cause or most of the criticism from people who don't know what's going on. Voice their opinion. That's my little opinion about that. Second thing, I wanted to, I listened this morning about the farming couple out there. I'm a member of the Planning and Zoning Board, and every time somebody comes up and wants to build a house in a county, we go through the whole deal with David Deal about we're only allowed to split the land so many times, and Saline County is a farming community, and we want to keep it agriculture. There was a young farmer in there this morning wanting a bridge somehow or another so he could get across to his property, and we slammed the door in his face. I know it's up, you guys got some decisions to make how we're going to go about doing this, but basically the county attorney let us know that there was a law against this. We can't do that, can't do this, they do that. All the guy wants to do is get across the creek to take care of his business. I see a real heads-on deal here. You're saying one thing, we can't build a house, but yet we can't let the farmer do what he needs to be doing. I know it's expensive, but we also spend a whole lot of money on different social activities in this community that some of that money could be taken and put back into what the whole county is supposed to be about, is the farming industry. I happen to have the privilege of taking care or participate in the wheat harvest this year. I can't believe how many bridges and everything else we have to go around to drive this big heavy equipment. There's advertisements on the radio, watch out for heavy equipment, combines, tractors, stuff on the road. Well, they have to drive 10 or 12 miles to get around to where they could have drove 300 yards to get across the bridge that was out. So there's a safety issue involved there, and Mr. Montoya was talking about the liability, how much liability is related to that. We got a tractor to combine going down the road 12 miles when he could go 300 yards, get across the road, he has a wreck, kill somebody. Why was he out there instead of being over in the field where he wants to be anyway? So I think there's some liability issues there, and I just wanted to bring those few little points up that there's a real contradiction or almost hypocritical of what one person or one agency is saying against what the whole county is supposed to be about is the agricultural part of it. And so just the little points to ponder. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Karen Shade, 111 Wisconsin. Changing topics. Last week I went to the public library and saw a little table with survey on it, and I glanced at it and saw that it was something familiar. It was the Saline County Community Health Needs Assessment Survey, and I put that up 4 sheets of paper in front of you regarding that. The top section is just what appeared in a booklet beside the survey, and you'll notice that as it's described, the Salina Regional Health Center and several Saline County organizations are conducting this. And that's quite a change from what happened. If you look at page 2, you see that it was the Saline County Health Department that had taken the lead just a few years earlier in this process. And I'm curious and wanting to know what, if any, role the current health department is playing in this process currently. I believe some of you may have attended an event at the Salina Regional Health Center, maybe to discuss this. I don't know that for sure. Going to the survey instrument itself, it's page 3. People are asked to rank among 12 different indicators their top 5 factors that they believe that have the greatest impact on our community. Besides it, I typed, and you'll have to excuse my typos, but it's better than reading my handwriting, where I think the county puts in a lot of money to address different issues. Like with the aging population, you support the Commission on Aging. When it comes to drug overdoses and substance abuse, that involves EMS, drug court, the courts, the jail, the sheriff's office. When it comes to trauma and falls, I think you play a big role, say, with the building codes. There's a lot of discussion with Doug McKinney and the grant to help retrofit some bathrooms or whatever that's kind of in the works. And in the city, this includes sidewalk integrity and snow removal. Well, if you turn to the 4th page, this is the language of the report that went with the survey instrument was very neutral, except for when it came to traumas and falls. And it's very clear to me as I read the last paragraph in the first block that Salina Regional Health Center wants to partner to do a Be Well, Stay Well program. And they're probably going to use the survey instrument to go after grant funds. And because they're in charge of the survey, things may go that direction. And I don't know if that's the best use of money. I tend to think there's a lot of things, there's 12 issues there. I don't know what the county will have as input into how the decisions get made. I don't know what grant money is available, but in the past, the health department used this process to go after grant money to address
We're at 3.
factors. And I'm just kind of, you know, I'm just asking what you know about this.
Okay, thank you. I'll take a look at that, and let me read it, and we'll see what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Karen. Thank you. All right, further public comment. Okay, let's move to item number 1.
Request Resolution 165-15 and amendment number 40 to resolution number 1254, voting requirements. A staff report by David Neal, Planning and Zoning Director.
Mr. Neal?
Morning, Commissioners. As requested by the County Commission, we have started a text amendment to change the voting requirements for planning and zoning decisions that come in front of the County Commission. When you look at the resolution, the language is fairly simple. We line out the word unanimous and put in the word 2/3. And in one section, there's a reference to a charter amendment that the county had done that doesn't apply anymore if we go to a 2/3 vote. Quick history of the voting requirements. Prior to 91, there were no requirements on the amount of votes, state or county, either way. In 91, Saline County and the state both required a 2/3, well, I should say the state required 2/3. The county decided to amend the code to say unanimous. It was 2007 that unanimous vote under the conditional use permit section was challenged by Alsop Sand. The voting, it stood the test of the courts. The state had passed a regulation requiring no unanimous vote for mining operations in 2009. That's when the county amended their charter to allow us, if it goes into a lot of legalese, and I'll let Mike Montoya explain that to you sometime if you need that, but we were allowed to make a charter resolution to say we're not following that statute. Let's see, coming up, we have now come into a commission of 5 commissioners. Obviously, the intent of the state is to look for, they want the county commission to listen to the planning commission because they are holding the public hearing for any topic coming up. The requirement is looking for some kind of supermajority vote. And I believe the reason that Saline County went to unanimous over 2/3, when we had 3 commissioners, 2/3 of 3 is still 2, which is a majority vote. Now we're at 5 commissioners. 2/3 of 5 people will be a 4-person vote. Let me clear up the voting requirements for you so everybody knows how this will affect the county. The votes that come in front of you from the Planning Commission will be recommendations for comprehensive plan amendments, zoning text amendments, and zoning map changes. Those will go from a unanimous vote to a 2/3 vote of the membership. And I want to be clear on this. It is of the entire membership. So if you want to agree with the Planning Commission, it takes a majority vote of the membership, so any 3 of you can do that. If you want to overturn the Planning Commission, it will take 4 people to overturn the Planning Commission. So if Mr. Smith is absent the day we're voting on that, it still takes 4 people. It's the entire membership. For the conditional use permit, I changed the language there as well. I like to have all the voting language similar. Why have unanimous on use permit appeals and 2/3 on all the zoning requirements? The conditional use permit is based on the members present. So if only 3 of you are present, it's 2/3 of 3. If 4 of you are present, it's 2/3 of 4. So that will change based on who's available at that conditional use permit appeal. And those regulations follow exactly with what the state requires, or at least desires. If you have any questions, I can answer that.
We talked to Mr. Montoya last week about it, and he didn't know. He said, I don't know, but I'll look into it. And, he says, I don't know. Isn't that what he said? I don't know. And he was going to bring us state statutes, which he was here today, and he never brought a thing to us about it. So we're not really ready for this. And do you have any of those state statutes for these rules and laws?
I don't have the state statute.
Well, we
in
need
front
to
of me.
know what the state statutes are, and we need our attorney to advise us on this. So we're not even at the point of looking at this right now.
I would recommend,
And he said he'd get to, I guess he didn't get it done this, isn't that what he said last week? Jim, you were here.
Yeah.
And Rita, did he mention anything about that to you?
I haven't heard anything.
So we're gonna
I
have to
don't know if
wait,
he
we're gonna
got
have to
finished.
wait on him before we,
That's what he said he would do. He looked at it.
and he never, I kind of forgot about it. I'd asked him today. You weren't here, Lucy and Monty, but, isn't that right, that he said he'd find out? So I guess we're just gonna have to probably wait on that.
Tell me what these state statutes are that you're wanting information for, because I don't.
Well, we don't know, and that's why our county attorney needs to look into it for us and find out. We don't know.
Well,
We don't have
didn't
to-
you just say that if
My-
there's 3 present, 2 can move it, but if there's 4 present, it has to be a 4-0 vote?
my reading
Is that
of
what I
the,
understood you say?
yes. In my reading of the state statutes, I'm just gonna give you my reading. If
Yeah.
you want legal advice, you'll have to get legal advice. My reading of the state statutes is on zoning actions. That is comprehensive plans, zoning text amendments, and zoning map amendments. It requires a majority vote of the membership to approve, I'm not gonna say approve, to agree with the planning commission.
When you say membership, you mean
The
the
entire,
commission
all 5.
board?
Correct.
Correct.
As I mentioned, if Mr. Smith, I'm just picking on Mr. Smith today, if you happen to be absent, it's still of the membership. It takes a 2/3 vote of the membership to overturn a planning commission vote. And that's my understanding of the statutes. There is no specific statute to how to handle a conditional use permit appeal. That goes into our own regulations.
Well, we asked Mike what the other counties are doing, and do we even have to have this supermajority vote? And I think that's what we want to get an answer on, because we may want to completely get away from this.
If you want more legal
And-
advice,
Yeah,
I would,
we asked for it last
We
week.
did.
just
We
haven't
asked
got
for
it
it.
yet,
I would
so,
recommend tabling this
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
when you can get that advice, and then
yeah. And there's no
we can
big,
pick it up
not
later.
that big a hurry, right? I mean,
This doesn't
Nothing's
change
coming up,
any,
yeah.
I do
So-
have a zoning text amendment, just for your
Mhm.
information wise. I have a zoning text amendment coming up for an airport. The airport authority has applied for a text amendment change. I don't think that that should be in any way controversial, so I don't think it should be anything that would, it will still require the same voting requirements, but I don't think it'll be an issue.
did, so we'll just table this for a while and.
Well, we'll
until
take
we-
public comment first, and
Yeah.
then we'll bring
Well,
it to the commission for
I had
action.
another comment.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, let's finish this.
Public comment, please?
You want to comment first, John, or you
No,
want
I
me
want to hear you.
Okay. Ray Ruska, 235 North Santa Fe. Geez, for 160 years, the county had changed everything in the county by a majority vote. I would say my position would be to keep it simple. Majority vote, if you want to do it or not do it, just majority makes the decision. That makes a lot of sense, rather than try to manipulate whether it's 4 votes, whether it's overturned.
Majority of those present or majority?
Yeah,
3 out of 5.
just the majority
3 out
present.
of 5.
That happened in the past before, you know, of course,
And that's what we asked Mike Montoya if
But
we
he's
could still
saying
do
of those
that.
present, if there's only 3 commissions and commissioners, it would be 2 out of 3
If you
then.
guys were gone last week and 3 of us voted to do it, it wouldn't matter if you're here or not, but it'd still take 3 votes. We're not gonna, because
To
3 are here,
overturn.
we can't go 2 to 3.
Yeah,
It
it
should
had to be
always
3 and 0.
It should always be 3 and 0, or 4 and 0, or 5 and 0. It can't
Of
be
the,
2 and 0.
not of
Right.
who's present, of the
No,
entire
we
commission.
We can't do that. That's not right. You know, that'd be just saying we're gonna do it when you're not here. Right.
Why you're not here.
So we really need, we need to have a good counseling with Mike on this, and I'm sure he isn't ready to maybe give it to us yet. He hasn't looked into it altogether. and it
Well,
takes some
I
time.
bring the same question again to the commission. And I agree with tabling this until you get this solved. The same question is that I've asked the commission, why is Montoya not at these meetings so the public can ask him questions? That seems odd to me because, Mr. Chairman, you're probably familiar with the city. Mr. Bingston attends every one of those meetings, and you have access to ask him a question. And Mike he never comes. So where's Mike Montoya? Is he just somebody that we've created that is an imaginary person?
Well, he was here at 10.
He was in study session.
He was in study session. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
was there too.
I understand your point.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment before we bring it back to the commission? Okay, bring it back to the commission for action somehow, or further comment?
I would comment, one of the two voting issues requires 2/3 of those present and the other 2/3 of all of them. Why the distinction?
And I'm giving you my reading of the state statutes. You've already discussed you want legal advice on this, so I'm only giving you my reading. The state statutes specifically lay out what to do for zoning cases, which is, like I mentioned, comprehensive plan, zoning, and map changes. And it says 2/3 of the membership. So we have to, at a minimum, follow what the state does. We can go stricter than what the state does, which is what we're doing now with the unanimous vote. The conditional use permit appeals, the state has no specific voting language for that. That is only in our code, and our code only says it's a unanimous vote. It does not specify that it's a vote of the membership.
When I checked into that a year ago or two ago when we were doing the voting, I believe what I was understanding, it was 75%, because 2/3, we could have voted 2 out of 3 and we couldn't do it. It took a supermajority, took all 3, because I believe it's 75%. So, you know, what you're bringing to us, what you think, is a lot different than having the state statutes and our attorney saying, let's do it right. So, you know, we're just not ready yet.
Which is why I recommend tabling so you get the information you need.
And I will accept that motion.
Mr. Mr. Chairman, I move that we table RFA 165-15 and amendment number 40 to resolution 1254 regarding the voting requirements until further notice.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 And
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
I had a question, if I could, real quick. Did you get out and check on that rock?
That's one I did look at that. There is rock out there, so I have to write up something and send that on its way.
Okay. And then I had another call about somebody about the conditional use permit on a kennel, that they had 30 adult dogs, and now is there a question of whether it's adult dogs, and he was wondering why it would be male and female, and why, and is that, so have you got any information on that?
For the kennel case, we are verifying the conditions that the Planning Commission set. Part of the conditions were USDA licensing, if that's required by USDA. Part of it is KDHE licensing, and part of it is the number of dogs. USDA does have licensing requirements based on male and female dogs, but I believe so far on my research, it looks like they meet USDA requirements.
I was sitting here that night, and I don't remember any of that being mentioned, but I do remember him saying, I will bring it back to the 30 dogs. And has he met that? Has he got 30 dogs?
We have to go out and inspect that still.
You didn't do that last week?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to item number 2.
Have a county treasurer's update today with Jim Du Bois, our county treasurer.
Before Mr. Boyce gets started, we did have a conversation this morning as a commission, and we will again be taking public comment or questions after county updates. I'll just make sure that they stay on topic, and with the help of my fellow commissioners, make sure that they stay respectful. So, Mr. Boyce?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I have about 4 items I want to discuss with you this morning. Number one is going to be the quarterly interest report of idle funds. Secondly, I want to talk about tax collections, where we are up to this point in time. Our tag office statistics, which is something that we probably rarely talk about, but I think it is of interest to everybody here. And of course, the bank transition update. First of all, I want to have you look at the sheet that's listed as the interest reports earning for quarter ending June 30th. That would be April 1st to June 30th. On there, you'll notice that the total funds invested on there that we have of idle funds is $32,614,647.95. This is a result of, we have it in really 7 institutions. It'd be the Bennington State Bank, Sunflower Bank, the Kansas Municipal Investment Pool, the Citizen State Bank of Gibson Simmons First, which will be changing over to, I believe, is it Roxbury? Can't remember the name of the bank that's going to be switching to. First Bank Kansas and Central National Bank. Second quarter earnings, we were able to get $5,234.42. Doesn't seem like quite a large sum of money, but it is improving compared to when I first started, and I'll get with you on that. The total for the year over the last 2 quarters is $14,187. Last month, we did get $8,952.94 in earnings. Review over the last 2 years, if you look down below where it says interest earned as of December 31st of 2014, last year we got $20,698.16. When I first took office, it was in a negative $17,412.40. And I think some of that was due to premium bonds that were purchased by the former treasurer, not myself. And of course, interest rates changed quite a bit. If you look on further down, you'll see anywhere from December 31st of 2007 with $1,328,950 $58 to where we are today. And I may defer to Commissioner Smith and Shadwick, knowing the interest rates have changed drastically. A lot has occurred over the past few years. I don't know that we'll ever see interest rates that high, at least in my lifetime.
Were the balances significantly different on those 2 periods?
Yeah, they were. You know, we go from, gosh, a million, then all of a sudden it chopped in half in 2008 to $564,000, all the way down to, if you look at 2012, to $65,573. Went into a negative deficit at $17,412, and the only thing that we could figure out was premium bonds that were purchased at the time. And I can't speak for the former treasurer of what occurred, but we do have a committee comprised of myself, the county administrator, my accounting lead, and we do take a look and bid out interest of CDs and other tools that are out there that we're able to earn.
But the balance that interest is accruing on, is that significantly different in that period?
I would assume that it is, yeah. It's hard to say because I didn't see it, yeah. Yeah, but you know, we were in anywhere from a 0.02 to 0.05, going up to a 0.22 now with Bennington State Bank. So, any questions on that? The other thing I will kind of point out, which is really kind of interesting, as we start to look at interest, last year we earned $1,642.98 off of Sunflower Bank. That was total interest earned. That was a 0.02 to 0.04 to date, and we're only been with Bennington, I believe now, for going on our 6th week. We have earned $1,249.29, and that'll be reflected on the next interest report. So we're doing a lot better than what we are before. Okay. Second thing I wanted to kind of point out, if there's no other questions on that, second thing I wanted to point out, which I thought was really kind of interesting, I know that Commissioner Larson had pointed out that how small the letters are. You almost need a magnifying glass to see some of the things. Hopefully that they were able to blow that up just a little bit. But we were looking at tax collections from 12/1 of 2014 to 6/30 of 2015 for the 2014 tax year. Of course, we're always in arrears. And of course, the 2013 tax year. If you look at the 2014 tax year beginning statement, those are the statements that we send out predicting to bring in. We had $68,826,334.95 was the beginning. We collected $64,236,286.73, in which we had a little over $4 million in outstanding, compared to 2013, where we, for the lack of a better word, sent out statements to everybody for a projection of $60,162 with an outstanding balance of uncollected funds of $5,397,000. But we do have a difference of $790,000 and $790.36.69 ahead of where we were last year. Now, I can't really explain why we're ahead, other than the fact that I think we've done a really pretty good job of collecting some back taxes on that, and also we are collecting a little bit more revenue off of commercial tags too. So, any questions on any of those?
There's a lot more people getting commercial tags because they're getting pulled over when they need it, isn't that right?
Well, that's
I mean, I've talked to a lot of people. It's a pretty big fine if you're out there doing business without a commercial tag. So the state's they're helping you out there. Be careful if you don't have a commercial tag and you're hauling something.
That is
could be
state
for
statute.
sale.
Yeah, you're right, Commissioner.
Jim, since you
Yeah.
have clicked, since your reading here says all payments, it does include those TIF payments then in this money, is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
that is all payments.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's in there. So
What's the refunds column? 150,000 this year.
yeah,
81,000
that would
last year.
probably be things that have been, property that's been evaded or reassessed, and money that we would give back. Yeah, give back, yeah.
You can abate it and get some money back. If you
Yeah, it could happen, and of course, there was a new statute that went into place that all the commissioners are dealing with that have to deal with property that's been destroyed because of fire or other causes of that nature, so.
Well, if you're to help the county make a little more money, if you're out there mowing yards and you don't have a commercial tag, you better get one and get some commercial insurance to go with it, because it's really required by law to. If you're doing commercial work, you need to have commercial tags.
And I believe that's relating to a radius of over 50 miles within that realm. So there are some restrictions involved in that, yeah. So it's always safe to be safe, I guess. The other thing I want to talk about is the tag office. The interesting part about this is that when I first took office, we did have a satellite office that's located by Papa Murphy's, 2000 South 9th. A couple things that were of concern to me. Number one, that the rent on the facility that we had was around $1,748. Our landlord was out of state. I believe they were based in St. Louis. We had kind of poor visibility. Poor entry and exit, especially coming off of 9th Street in there. It was located kind of in a corner part of that building, which I considered as a security risk. And there was always lots of weeds and trash that were accumulating over in that area. And unfortunately, it seems like we didn't have regular maintenance of those facilities. So I formed the committee consisting of the county administrator, myself, our IT manager, Phil Penn, mainly because Phil's really versed in facilities and can get us through some questions that we had concerning those. My motor vehicle supervisor, we did bring in Annie Grievous with Community Corrections with help from Clientele to help move some of our items to a new office if we were to move. And of course, having our county counselor review the contract and verbiage and things of that nature. After taking a look at, and this was probably around in June, after taking a look at everything, we decided to look at some property located in Galaxy Center. The rent was considerably lower. It was $1,218.75. It was local ownership, and as much as possible, I do believe we should spend money locally to support our local economy. Better access and view for the public. Over the next 5 years, we predicted a savings at $27,742. The cost to move the office, put in some additional equipment and things of that nature was really pretty low. It was $7,032. And once again, it was during a time where Commissioner Price and Commissioner Guile was in office, and the one thing that I have to attribute is a great thanks to, once more, to Phil Penn, Brad Powers, county personnel, really saved us a lot of money, time, and effort, and their expertise in getting things done. You couldn't ask for anything better. It was great teamwork, and I believe that the only way that the county is going to succeed in a lot of things is through good teamwork and good communication. In 2014, the main office, we had 60,573 transactions. The South office has 21,709 transactions. That's quite a bit, if you think about it, of the people that come in there and do business with the county. We've looked at some different things of trying to expedite the lines, including having envelopes out front where people can actually just put their renewal notices and things of that nature, put it into the envelope. We'll give them a call when it's done. That way they don't have to stand in line. I know how inconvenient it is for some people to stand there, especially during their lunch period or a break period or what have you, and they're short of time. So we're looking at trying to expedite that process quite a bit. Or we did have a little bit of an extension of time. It used to be that the tag office at the main facility here closed at 4:30, and I kept it open until 5 to be kind of consistent with everybody else in the building, from an opening of 8 to 5 for people that don't get off until 5 o'clock. Of course, we have the other facility out south that they could stay open till about 6 o'clock. So as of today, we've run about 30,963 people or transactions in the main office and 9,200 transactions. A couple things that people should realize is that we're not state or county supported. That is self-funded. The only way that we are to maintain the office and pay for salaries and things of that nature is through the renewals that we regenerate, and that averages around $5 per renewal fee. Last year, in the year for 2014, we generated $502,876.67. Whatever's in excess at the end of the year, we do give back to the county, and I do believe that that is right and fair, because it is with the county's blessings and by state statute that they supply a place for the tag office, and we did give back $54,713. So the more frugal I am, the more frugal we are to be with our tag office, the more we can give back for county operations, and it's greatly appreciated on that. So to date, we've currently generated $234,093.86 as of June 30th. And currently we do have staff that are, John, you talked a little bit about commercial fees and what have you. As you well know, anytime that the state does change things, it does take a lot of training to go through, and so we are still going through some of that training to be well-versed on commercial tags and the commercial process, so we can get through some of the problems or expedite our way of dealing with their renewals and registrations.
Did that work a little better this year than it did the year before?
Yes.
Oh, wow, what a mess.
You know, if you recall, maybe a couple of years ago, they had they changed the system for just a regular transitions. Kept on hearing a cat. They changed it to from an old antiquated system to what's called movers of today, and that's the system that we go off of. And so anytime you change systems, it gets to be pretty hectic, and that was one of the things that they kind of struggled with. And I was kind of hoping and praying that the commercial transition would be a little bit quicker, faster, easier. So we did attend quite a few trainings prior to that, and of course, those trainings are ongoing.
Is it still required to come to Saline County?
No.
I mean, like last year it was, a lot of the other counties.
A
had
lot
to
of
come
counties,
here.
yeah, a lot of counties opted out of it, but you can go to any county that would
Now.
accept, the commercial renewals. And we felt kind of an obligation. We're a pretty good sized county. For the counties that will not do their commercial renewals and titling and things of that nature, we're more than glad to do that. We send that on to the other county, but we do get a little bit of funding for doing that, which does help us.
You had the Brinks truck in here every day.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So,
What is the definition of ad valorem, and how does it differ from sales tax?
well, the ad valorem, I think, is really more of the true amount of taxation that would come in. Sales tax, sometimes you're looking at a lot of different things involved in that. Maybe the state sales tax, local sales tax, other things that are kind of involved in that. But we try and look more towards the ad valorem, the true funding that we actually see and come in, than we do to try and, even though we do estimate, we can always tell people it's only an estimate of what we have that goes out. And sometimes when people come in and they do their escrow accounts, we do have to remind them that the mill isn't set. The mill will be set by the clerk around October, if I'm right. And then once the clerk sets the levy and they get with the appraiser downstairs, and everything comes back up, and we'll send that out sometime around November.
But an exemption from ad valorem tax does not exempt from sales tax, is that right?
That is true, yeah. Yeah, you're talking personal property, you're talking real estate, mineral, 1620, RV, things of that nature, yep.
How was the automatic draft working out? I know a lot of people come up to me and they say the only check that they write during a month is to the Saline County Treasurer. I mean, because we all have everything drafted. How's it working out for you?
When I first started, and to be quite candid with everybody, it was a nightmare. It was one of those things where we could have had a full-time employee do nothing but deal with escrows off of the automatic draft. And the reason why I say that is because that if you look at the way our system was set up through CIC, which is our accounting software, we had to match a control batch with the bank batch with a spreadsheet. And I once had our IT manager say, well, which one is important? Well, they're all important. You just have to make sure that they all coincide with each other. If they don't match, then I can't run it through, in which it took literally hours, sometimes days, sometimes weeks. And the one thing that always kind of bothered me was, why does it take so long? What can we do to try and expedite it? What can we do to try and simplify that process and still be very accurate and to the point? And so I think that we've got it down to a system where the people that are currently on an ACH escrow can continue that process and continue it as long as they like. For new people coming in, I prefer that they can go to an escrow system where they write a check, or they can get onto their bank account and send the county the money, just as long as we know what parcel to apply it to and go from there. But we don't have the manpower, we don't have the time, we're constantly swamped, kind of like the other offices with the county, of trying to get things done. There's only so many hours in the day, and I've come collection times in May and December, as the clerk can probably attest to this too. During the times of elections, we're here from early in the morning until sometimes very late at night, and then back at it first time in the morning. And As you start to look at things of that nature, probably the biggest areas of concern is we have a budget like everybody else, and I just can't keep on paying overtime to do that. So you have to look at ways to try and spindle things down to a point where, yeah, we're still being able to help the public out, work with them any way possible, but we do have to be pretty logical in how we deal with things.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, but I can see it almost happening just the opposite. I'm on the automatic draft, and you don't have to deal with me. So there is less time, and I can't imagine that having more people do that would create too much work for you.
I'd be more than glad to.
You know, the water department can do it, the KP, and, you know, Westar and Kansas Gas can do it, and again, I'm just looking for answers.
Yeah. I wish we, if we were able to work with CIC in a different fashion or way. It was a system that was developed before I came on board. I'd be more than glad to take a look at things to make things easier, to make it a little bit more simpler. But unfortunately, we don't have it, and we don't have that today, right now.
Okay.
So we'll keep on working on it. Yeah, where we just automatically take it out of your bank account. The other thing too is the bank transition. We are, I think, ahead of schedule. Bennington State Bank has a representative here almost daily to work with us, moving some accounts over. So far, we have moved over our main account, and we do have a payroll account now set up with that. We have a healthcare claims account. The building authority has moved their account over. And so has the sheriff's office. And I still think that there's probably a couple more accounts we're still working with. I believe the Expo Center, and I believe one other account from the court upstairs. Things have run pretty smooth. They were able to bring over scanners for each desk now, except for mine. So we were able to do deposits through direct deposits through our scanners. They scan the checks, run through. I'll go over into Bennington State Bank. They'll show up. It makes our time a little bit quicker to have to go through there. Of course, some of them that will pop out, we still have to manually take a look at that. But we're pretty pleased with the transition so far. Knock on wood, we haven't had any major hiccups, and we kind of go from there. So,
I just had quick questions. How many people are staffed in the main tag office here? Going back to that discussion.
8.
Okay, and then how many are in the satellite?
Well, we have six here in our office and 2 in the satellite.
Okay.
8.
And they're cross-referenced. Do you ever have to float them over to cover illnesses or vacations or anything like that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we do that, and plus at the end of the month, I will, just because the lines are so long and people are trying to come in at the very last minute, I'll send somebody from the main office over to the satellite office to help out.
Are they also open until 5 over at Galaxy?
No, 6 o'clock.
Oh, they're open till 6.
Right.
Now, how do you
7 to 6.
How do you handle that when they've had
Or 7:30.
a long wait at the line and you close at 5? You keep serving until the last person is done?
Yeah, we do.
So
We're not going to turn anybody away.
That's why I'm back to how do you control that overtime then? I mean, how many people are really here till 6 o'clock here at the courthouse?
What I do is I do kind of stagger sometimes. I have people, a couple people may come in at 8 o'clock to open up the office and get things started. I have some people come in at 8:30, knowing that the onslaught may be a little bit later during the course of the day. People standing in line past the 5 o'clock period of time. They do having a little bit more people to help get those through instead of having to send them on to the south office. I think that would be kind of frustrating. It would be frustrating for me to have to stand in line and then have somebody say, well, we're going to close, so we want you to go to the south office.
Yeah.
I want people to feel like that they can come here and be served. Maybe a little bit late, but you know what? We're going to get it done.
And I know that the end of the month is always
It's tough.
It's
It
tighter.
is tough, yeah.
Okay.
So, but I do try and look for ways to expedite that. My primary focus is customer service. We want to be friendly. If there is a problem, if there's an issue, what have you, I do like to know about
Well,
it.
I just know when I walk in and I see
I know.
here, and I see the line snaking all the way around, I'm like, oh, and I head for the south office.
I get a little fearful too, so you bet. Yeah.
Further questions? Is there any public comment?
Ray Ruska, 235 North Santa Fe. I want to thank you again, Mr. Chairman, for reestablishing public comment. And also today's update by Jim Du Bois. It was very good.
Thanks, Ray.
And very informative. I would just had my tags renewed here recently, and I wanted to commend one of the employees that handled my tags. I left all my paperwork at home, so they just looked it up and handed me my tags. So that really worked out well.
I'll pass it on, Ray.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then one final question: has the state deposited $30 million in your county's bank account again lately?
You know, every once in a while we'll get money. A lot of the money that we get from the state of Kansas is going to be for like the special highway or taxes, alcohol taxes or taxes of that concern. So in order for us to, we get a lot of those, but we haven't had an extra $30 million, Ray.
That's well, that would keep the mill levy down.
Well, I want to tell you, my eyes got a little bit big, and I was trying to figure out, wow, where did this come
Every
from?
time I see you, I think 30 million.
There you go. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Further public comment? All right, bring it back to the commission. Is there any other business that needs to come before us today?
It's item 3 there, Commissioner.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Oh, item number 3, excuse
the
me. Yeah.
commission minutes approval.
Is there any public comment?
Ray Ruska, 235 North Santa Fe. I had one comment about the administrator's update. At the end of the paragraph, it said that Rita was going to attend a friendly fire program, I guess, at KSAL. And it doesn't say what time or what the subject was going to be about. Could you elaborate on that a little bit, Rita?
It's going to be on Saline County. Don't have a specific topic, just what we do and why we do it. And I think it's, what is it, 5:15?
It's about 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Well, it's after the news, so.
Tonight?
Yeah, it's about 5:10. Is it today?
No, it's Thursday.
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 Have fun.
So we'll wait till then to see how you do on the hot seat.
Ask some questions, Ray.
All right, I'm sorry. Bring it back to the commission for action.
So moved that we approve the minutes of July the 7th of 2015.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Under announcements, we will reconvene again at 1 o'clock upstairs to continue our discussion on the budget. And I also want to always remind people that we're looking for members of boards. We have a Citizens Advisory Board for the Health Department that we haven't made a decision on yet. And then we have the new Economic Development Board that we will be appointing some people to. So feel free to get on the website. We will update it and make sure that economic development is on there. But please turn it in and show your interest.
I have an announcement.
Okay?
I think that we ought to say something about KKOA, the 35th annual Legislate Spectacular will be here on the July the 23rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And we wrote him, Jerry Titus, a nice letter last year. We got a response of, after 35 years, it was pretty nice to have a thank you. And Jerry Titus, thank you for what you've done for us, and keep it up.
All right, anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned till 1 o'clock.